What's up, everybody? Making a little update video here about this car. Basically, I have done nothing with it since I've moved here. This is my garage, by the way. Nice air conditioner. Meant to have that engine pulled out a while back and never did. I'm probably going to do this in the morning. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning right now on a Friday. I think I'm just going to wake up and then just stab that fucker out and get it out because I'm sick of seeing a half torn apart engine there. I think once it's out, I'll feel more like ambitious to want to work on this thing. Something to note, I didn't notice. So, okay, in the valley, there is no knock sensor, okay? Well, that Crown Vic motor over there, so this is why it's taking so long. Need more parts now. This clutch I bought off Rock Auto. It's for a fucking 94, for a 302 car. T5, okay? Well, literally typed in what I needed for this car and it gave me that, so that's wrong. And then I got my flywheel through like 3 months. Well, the bolts were all for a flex plate because this was an automatic car, okay, out of Crown Vic. Well, the bolts I went out and bought tonight calls for these. Now, as you can tell, that is not right, but what the point being is the length of them. And online, and everybody's website showed it was a 7/16 by 20, which I thought was odd. I thought that was metric. That's what everybody said to use. Every store I went to, even online. Also said to use these pressure plate bolts. All right. Well, come to find out, no, that shit doesn't fit at all. Those are a 10 millimeter by 1.0. It's a very oddball size. So 2 of them I screwed up getting them in because there's not only like maybe that much thread actually holding that flywheel on. So we used the old red Loctite and just fucking gave it the sauce because I'm sick of this trying to get this fucker to work. I couldn't find any bolts. Nobody has shit in stock. Everything's on back order because it's COVID bull crap. So it's good enough. So we're going to freaking send it and call it a day. Well, now I need to get a different clutch because that clutch is not even close to being right. So I got a clutch yet, which sucks. However, I got this side header on fine. The 2 header bolts that were broken off. One actually came out with a screwdriver. The other one I drilled out and it like broke the threads enough to where I was able to unscrew it so I can get the bolts in there. So I got that done. And then I got the old alternator pulled off and I'm working on this power steering pump. It's like miserably downpouring and storming out right now. My growth flew across my driveway and I don't really feel like doing any more work on this. But tomorrow I'll be putting on the good alternator, taking the power steering pump off because I still own the car. And then I will be putting the rest of the stuff. I'm just going to go to AutoZone and buy another clutch for this thing to get up and done. Funny thing though, right? So, okay. These wires right here. So, check this shit out, right? There is, I don't know if you guys can see that in there or not. There's knock sensors in there. So, there's no harness to plug those into on the Mustang. So I'm just going to leave this unplugged. Yeah, I got the fuel rail switched over. Got the injector switched over. Coil pack, spark plugs, all that stuff is done. So the motor's almost set to go in. Now what I am doing is I am keeping the front accessory drive of the Crown Vic because I don't feel the need to switch all the belt drive from this engine to that. This has the smaller water pump on it. And quite honestly, the power steering pump is the same. So is the AC compressor. But there's a couple other oddball pulleys that are different. I don't really care much about it, so I'm not even going to worry about it. So that's going to stay the same, and I'll get the belt for a Crown Vic, I guess. But yeah, I use that extractor kit for the drill. This kit here is for drilling out the exhaust manifold bolts. It's not bad. Buy brand new drill bits. My Mac ones are starting to get worn out. They wouldn't drill through the holes. I'd use a really big oversized drill bit to get it out, but it worked. That's the old alternate seized, so that is that. But yeah, basically the plan is tomorrow finish putting this together, and once that's done, I'm gonna put this up on jack stands and try and yank out that motor and tranny right away, and then I really want to get this in the damn car. Like, I think once I see this in the car, I'll have more motivation when I finish this project. I've kind of just like, I see it, and it's like I want to drive the car so badly. I'm sick of like this. This has been a pain in my ass. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. If you decide to get a donor engine for your car, whatever it is, okay. Predominantly, if you're going from like a Crown Vic motor to a fucking Mustang, okay, there's so much shit you to change over, and it really should not be this hard. Honestly, it shouldn't be. Like, engine manifold's the same, okay, alternator is, I think the same, that one's seized up, but this stupid fucking thing here, okay, where these stupid ass cooling lines come out, so these fucking cooler lines, okay, go into the oil filter housing, which is fucking stupid. So I gotta take the oil filter housing off of this and put the one from this fucking thing on here, because the town cars and shit have that cooler for the power steering, or some shit, oil cooler, whatever the hell it is. So I take that shit off and switch it over. The NOx sensors, whatever, I can just leave that unplugged. But I switch over the fuel rail and the injectors, which ain't an issue. I did plugs and coils because I had new ones on this car. This shouldn't be a fucking issue, but getting a flywheel for this thing was a pain in the ass because nobody had one. So, you know, the pilot bushing was easy. That was the easiest part of this whole job, was putting that in. But the bolts, for FYI, the bolts for a flywheel for manual transmission on one of these is longer. They're 1 inch length threads, like, 1 inch of threads. These are only like 11/16 length threads. Like, these bolts are too short for a flywheel because this was an automatic car, and so the flex plate is thinner where it bolts onto the crankshaft. So if you guys need them, American Muscle does sell them, but again, I need the shit now. I can't keep waiting and putting stuff off because I gotta work these stupid ass 12-hour shifts all the time. So I went to O'Reilly and shit, and I literally went on every website on there, and nobody stocked these bolts. Well, everybody said it was these goddamn bolts. Sorry. These bolts. Everybody said it was the 912s. And I looked at them, I was like, okay, these look pretty identical. And they are longer. These are a longer, they're 31/32 length. So it's almost a full inch long. But when I saw 7/16 by 20, I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I thought these were metric. But I was like, whatever, I'll try it. Now, obviously, if you can read this, does not say anything about a 4.6 or a mod motor in general. I understand that. That's why I went on their website, and I went there and asked them, hey, I told them it was an 08 Crown Vic motor, so I'd have the thread pitch right. Well, this is what came up still for all the 4.6 motors. Why? I don't know. Like I say, if you're running that issue, American Muscle does sell the correct bolts for this, but I ain't got all fucking day to worry about and wait for that shit, so this is not right. I've been trying to do everything I can right on this thing to make it like professionally done and eliminate any issues. I want to do a remain seal, but I don't have access to the installer kit, and you need a stupid plastic ring inside the remain to push it over the crank, and I'm like, forget all that horse shit, because I have no idea if this engine even runs. I got this just for the heads and ended up needing it now for this car, so I don't know if it runs. It turns over freely. I don't know anything about it. So, I don't want to spend a fortune on this engine, just find it doesn't run, or it's got a bad dead missing cylinder or something, or it's got a burnt piston. So, don't do what I did, but I use those same flex plate bolts, which are way too short, and red Loctited the fuck out of them. They're not torqued down at all. Two of them, when I was trying to torque them out with my torque wrench, literally, it just never torqued them. The torque is like 58 to 64 foot-pounds or some shit, so I was trying to torque them at 60. Literally wouldn't even fucking torque, so I was like, all right. And then it started, I'm like, okay, starting to get a little looser, so I pulled them out and pulled the threads out of the crankshaft. So two of those bolts are not at all tight or torqued down, but enough for Loctite, and you should be good. So that's what I did. And then that clutch I bought doesn't fit, which pisses me off because I want to get everything on the engine, so when I drop it, all I gotta do is throw trans in there, and then I'm done. But now I gotta fuck around buying a clutch for this thing, which I'll probably just buy one tomorrow because whatever. But that's where we're at. Once I get this motor out tomorrow, hopefully, I really hope that, well, today, technically, I like to get the motor out because once I can set this in there, which, too, by the way, motor mounts are different also, so I gotta take the motor mounts off of that engine and put onto here. And if you're right now questioning, well, hey, stupid, why don't you just wait, pull that shit out, take it apart, and take the bolts off of that flywheel and those flex plate, or those pressure plate bolts, and put on this, well, that's what I'm going to end up doing probably. But the reason why I didn't do it originally was because I wanted to simply have this whole thing done, ready to go, yank that fucker out, drop this fucker in, and get it complete. Now I got to fuck around taking all that shit out, take everything apart, take the bolts out. Because odd thing is, the pressure plate bolts actually do thread into the flywheel. And these are 3/8 by 16. They thread in there all the way down. However, these are very, very long bolts. Now, the weird thing is it says GM on it. But when you type in pressure plate bolts for, again, a 4.6 motor of any year, comes up with that. So, I don't know. Either way, it's coming along. It's almost done. Once this thing goes in the car, I'll be so much happier. If this fucking engine is not run, or if it runs like shit, I'm pissed off. Honestly, even if it runs great over the winter, once I really want to put this 390 in this car, but I don't think I can fit it. Well, I know it'll fit, but the amount of work it's going to take to put this in that car, I just don't want to do. But once this goes in the green truck, and I got the 351 on the green truck, I can take that and build that motor. Then I'll drop that into this and have just a 351 Mustang versus this. Because this engine in general, not the two valves, but this particular engine itself is just not right for the application. I mean, 4.6 to the 4.6, yes, but there's so many little things you gotta switch over from this engine to make work in a Mustang. This is like a 2008 or 2011 engine. So it's a late model engine. I don't know what year it is, but the only thing I was happy about was that the dipstick tube was able to stay where it was, and the header's cleared with these shorties, the BBK shorties. So maneuver them around there. So the dipstick is good now. It is broken. The dipstick itself is broken. I have the good one though for the off the other engine in the garage in the shop. So, fuck, excuse me. Got a thermostat housing for this thing too. So hopefully this will be complete tomorrow or later today, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll get that fucking thing pulled out. Good thing is though, all the shit that I bought for this tonight will fit on this. All the bolts I just bought will fit this engine. So at least I have all my bolts already for this engine. So I'm going to end up taking these headers off, get new header gaskets, and then I have new header bolts I can put on here right away, along with new flywheel bolts. I have new pressure plate bolts, so that's good. I have only old ones too, but at least I have these. So, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I'm very, very tired. It's been a long day. So yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Kind of like a rant update video, I guess you'd call it. Will say I love the air conditioner. That makes a tremendous difference in here. But I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Like, share, subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. that flywheel's off eBay, just FYI. It was like 86 bucks. Good flywheel. It just took forever to get here. But, alright, talk to you guys later.